Baby is 6 months, and this is the time that we are advised to introduce solids to babies. And this can be a very interesting, exciting stage for parents and carers. And so important that you choose the right method that suits you and baby so that the period will be as much as possible stress free. So today we are going to look at all about weaning baby and the method that you could use. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jabaki, and if this is the first time you are joining me on this channel, you are most welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, I so much appreciate you. So we know that the 6 months period in a baby's life is a very important stage that all parents and carers look forward to, because this is the stage that we get to see some milestones being achieved in the baby's life. And one of them is they being able to take in solids. Okay, at the onset of weaning, it's not about the quantity of solids that baby takes or even whether they are getting the right nutrients from the food. Okay, it's more about they getting used to the taste, seeing if they like it or not and all that, because at this stage they will still be having their usual milk, whether they are being breastfed or taking formula. They are still going to get majority of their nutrients from the milk. Okay, so it's not a time to worry at all whether they are not taking the food or not. They'll be gagging, they'll be spitting it out and all that. So it's more about they getting used to the taste, seeing if they like it or not. So that's the most important thing, to enjoy this part and let them also take things at their own pace, enjoying what they are eating. At around 6 months, you would realize that baby is ready for something much more than milk. When you're eating, they will just stretch for their hand to sort of try and take what you're eating, or they would start licking their lips and making noise, and you can see that they really want to try what you are having. So at this stage, you know that baby, is ready for that. And other signs that you should look out for is whether baby is able to stay upright in a certain position, they are able to keep their head steady, they are able to pick up food by themselves and put it into their mouth by themselves. And also, when you begin introducing solids to them, whether they, swallow it or they push it out of their mouth, these are some of the signs that you should look out for. If, however, you see these signs before the baby clocks 6 months, then you should speak to your health visitor first or your doctor first before introducing the solids to the baby, since their digestive system may not be well developed to take in the solids yet. And on the other hand, if baby gets to 6 months and you are not yet seeing these signs, then you should also still speak to your health visitor or your doctor, since at this point they need to move on from just milk to something solid. Okay, so they'll be able to advise you best on what to do. So I want to use a personal experience. In my own case, looking at some of the signs I didn't see, right? So I had to call my health visitor, and she gave me some tips as to how to feed baby, so just speak to them and then they will be able to give you the right advice as to what to do. So when introducing solids to babies, you would realize that regardless of the method that you decide to use, babies would take a while to learn how to eat and get used to the new taste. So they may spit out the food, they may reject it, but just keep trying. Just keep trying, because they will definitely move on from that stage. So it's not something that you should worry so much about. Okay, just because they are not taking the food or spitting it out doesn't mean that they will stay there forever. They will definitely move on. So just keep trying, and then you need time and patience, okay, because they would do it at their own pace. So just have that time for them, patience for them, so that they would be able to go through that process, successfully, and without you stressing up so much that they are not, eaten. So just bear that in mind when you begin introducing solids to babies. When it comes to weaning babies, there are two main methods that you could choose from, and that is the traditional baby weaning, which involves feeding baby with mashed or pureed foods. And then we have the baby-led weaning, where the baby is given the chance to eat by themselves. And usually foods are provided in the form of steamed vegetables or large pieces of fruits, okay, for them to feed by themselves. And if you like, you can also go for a combination of this. So it's completely up to you as a parent and carer as to how you want to go about it. So you decide. So what are some of the advantages of baby-led weaning? First of all, baby learns to build their motor skills and also their hand-eye coordination. Since they get to pick the food by themselves and then, take it to their mouth, they sort of learn that coordination between their hand and their eye. And that is an important skill that every child must learn. So they get to learn it at an earlier stage. The advantage is that meal times become less stressful, since you don't spend time to prepare separate meals for the baby by cooking it and pureeing it or mashing it. What everyone eats as a family, that's what the baby also eats, as long as what's in the food is, not harmful to baby. We know that there are certain foods that baby must avoid before they clock 1 year. There are certain things that they mustn't eat. So as long as that is not in the food, then you are good to go. Baby eats what the whole family is eating, and then you don't need to, prepare a separate dish for the baby. And then also during eating, when it comes to eating, baby is feeding themselves, and then you are also eating by yourself. So there is no need for you to finish with yours before feeding baby, or feeding baby first before, eating. So it becomes less stressful for everyone in the family. And it also encourages wider food taste for the baby, and also independence, because you place the food before them and they get to pick and choose what they want to eat. So it helps them to explore by themselves, and also be independent, because they are able to, make the decision as to what they want to pick, what they want to eat, and, or not. So these are some of the advantages of baby-led weaning. Then let's look at some of the disadvantages. If you get stressed out with mess, then baby-led weaning may not be for you, because it comes with so much mess as compared to the traditional weaning. Because baby is eating by herself, and this is something new to them, okay, much of the food ends up on the floor or on the table instead of their mouth, okay. So it's very, very messy. So it's something you have to bear in mind, because it is messy. It is very messy. Also, much food is wasted when it comes to baby-led weaning, because most of the food ends up on the floor instead of baby's mouth, okay. So it's something that you would have to weigh when it comes to baby-led weaning, because they are now learning how to eat. They pick the food to put it in their mouth, and it ends up on the floor instead of their mouth. So it is one thing that you should also have in mind. And then also, when it comes to baby-led weaning, most parents are afraid that babies are going to choke on their food, okay. So it's one worry that parents have about baby-led weaning, because they are eating by themselves. They are afraid that they would be choking. But bear in mind that babies usually gag, regardless of whether they are being spoon-fed or they are eating by themselves. They gag. So you should bear that in mind, the difference between choking and then gagging, okay, because they usually do that. You put it in your mouth, they are spitting it out, they are sort of gagging, want to throw up. Yes, that's something that's quite normal when it comes to feeding babies, regardless of the method that you're using. So that is one worry for parents who are into baby-led weaning. They are afraid that babies will choke on the food. And one other disadvantage is the concern that parents may have regarding whether the baby is having enough nutrients or not, okay, since they are not taking much of the food into their mouth, and also to actually know exactly how much baby is taking. Since most of the food is going on the floor, you're not sure. You serve the baby with a particular amount of food and most of it is on the floor. You don't know how much has gone into baby's mouth. So that is something that is also of concern to most carers and parents, because they are not sure how much baby has taken or whether they are even getting the right nutrients and all that. So these are some of the downsides when it comes to baby-led weaning, and you should know this so that you would know which method to actually go in for. Now let's talk about traditional weaning that most of us are much more familiar with. So the advantages of traditional weaning is that it minimizes the mess that comes with baby-led weaning. Since you are in control as a carer parent, you are able to, put the food into the baby's mouth instead of it ending up on the floor. So it helps to minimize the kind of mess that, would take place if baby was, eating by themselves. And one other advantage is that you know what baby is taking. So you are sure that baby is having the right nutrients, varied nutrients and all that, because you are feeding the baby. So you know that, okay, baby has taken this amount, baby couldn't feed this much, and you are aware of that because you are doing the feeding. For parents who worry about babies choking on their food when they are feeding themselves, then this method would help to sort of bring down that fear. Okay, feeding the baby yourself will sort of bring down that fear of they choking on their food. So you can decide to go on for the purees or mashed food instead of allowing baby to eat by themselves. What are some of the downsides when it comes to traditional spoon feeding of babies? Some babies get so used to the purees and mashed food that it's quite a struggle, okay, difficult when it comes to introducing them to different textures and much more lumpier foods. They find it very difficult to move on to that. So it's usually advised that when you want to go in for the traditional weaning, spoon feeding babies, quickly move on from the purees and mashed foods so that the babies don't get so used to that, kind of food, the smooth kind of, foods, so that they can be able to exercise their muscles by chewing. Okay, so move on quickly from that stage so that they don't feel comfortable in that stage. And then also one other downside is that as a family you can enjoy meal times together, because you would have to find time to feed baby first and then you also sit down to eat. So if you want that kind of eating together as a family, it becomes quite difficult, since you would have to, concentrate on feeding baby first and then yourself, or vice versa. And another downside is that with the traditional weaning, you spend much time preparing food and cooking, because you would have to, cook the food first and mash it or puree it, and that takes time as compared to the baby just taking whatever the family is also taking and eating by themselves. It takes much time in preparations and all that. You have to cook in batches and all that. It's all a whole lot of work. Okay, as babies start on solids, there are certain foods that are likely to cause allergic reactions in babies, and so it's very important that you introduce those foods at the onset and in smaller quantities, one at a time, so that you know which of them baby reacts to. Okay, so some of these foods may be cow milk, eggs, and soya bean, peanuts, and gluten foods, such as wheat and barley, and other foods, okay, which are likely to cause that kind of reaction in babies. You should introduce them, do it one at a time, so that you can spot the particular one that's causing that allergy, and then you can let your doctor know about it so that they will see the way forward with regards to how to help baby with that. Okay, they can advise you better on what to do about that. So initial stages, okay, babies are more likely to try out whatever comes, into their mouth, or whatever they lay their hands on. So at this point, it's very important that you give them not too sweet, vegetables such as broccoli and spinach, cauliflower. Those that are not too sweet, because naturally babies will love what is sweet. I mean, it's not even just about babies, it's about us as human beings. We are usually inclined towards things that are sweet. Okay, so it's the same with babies also. So at that beginning stages, just let them try out that the not so sweet ones, so that they'll get used to it. As they're growing up, they know that, okay, we have sweet ones, we have not so sweet ones, and they'll get used to it. And also you can start with vegetables. As I mentioned, it's very important. Vegetables are so good, and we realize that when babies get to certain stages, they sort of don't like it. They don't like the vegetables just because it may not be too sweet. So as I've said, just try that out right at the onset, so that they would get used to it, they would eat it, and whilst growing up, it will become part and parcel of what they eat. Baby is 6 months old, and we've started off with pureed vegetables and fruits. That is why I decided to go in for, because baby is not sitting by himself at the minute. And so I decided to go in for pureed food. And I also realized that he's sort of like pushing the food out of his mouth, instead of swallowing it. He takes some in though, but not that much. So I just want to keep on with the pureed one for a while, okay, before I move on to the mashed one. Okay, so it's completely up to you. At this moment, I realized that he's not too eager to eat, but then I keep on trying. I'm doing it at least every day, trying to give him something little, okay, and at least he gets to taste the different types of vegetables, and then fruits. So that is what I'm doing at the minute. And for now, the only fruits that I'm giving him so far is banana. Yes, mashed or pureed banana. And then I'm going in for the cauliflower. I'm giving him the broccoli and carrot as well. So that's what we are doing now. And then when I realized that he is eating a little bit much, probably in the third week, because we are almost in our second week of weaning. So when we get to the third week, then I'll start with the foods that are likely to cause allergy. I would start with that one at a time and see how it goes with him. Then we can move on to mashed foods. So that is what I'm doing currently with baby boy. And I hope that you find some inspiration in this, and know that it will definitely be well with you and baby. This is a period that we all look forward to. We are all happy about as parents and carers, and we know that it will definitely be well. No child has completely remained at that stage of taking purees or not eating. They will definitely move on. It's a matter of time. Some babies take a longer period. Some of them also, they sort of are able to move on quickly. All babies are different. Every child is different. So it's up to you as a parent to know how your baby is taking things, and work at the baby's pace, one at a time, a day at a time. And if for any reason you have any concern, please speak to your medical experts, speak to your doctor, speak to your health visitor, so that they'll be able to advise you better, tell you what to do, even as you start this wonderful and interesting sort of period in baby's life. Finally, I would want to remind you that when it comes to the method to use when weaning your baby, there is no right or wrong way. The right way is that you choose what works best for you, the baby, and your family. Okay, and as much as possible to reduce stress. You don't want to stress yourself during this period. It should be a fun time for you. And then also, it's going to be much of a trial and error for you, especially if you are a first time carer or a first time parent. In reality, I would say that most parents go in for a combination of both weaning methods, because you can decide that when you are out and about, baby can be spoon fed instead of they feeding themselves, because you're out and you may not even have a place to put baby, a high chair around that place where baby can sit and feed themselves, or you may not even have the space for baby to sit down and feel free and eat by themselves, and you would have to feed them. So when you're out and about, you can decide to use the traditional spoon feeding of babies. And when you're at home where everybody is relaxed and free, and you have all the time and everything, you can decide to let baby eat by themselves. So in reality, that's what happens. Okay, so you can decide to do that, to do a combination. When you're out and about, baby will be spoon fed. When you come home, then baby can have the chance to eat by themselves. Okay, so it's all a mixture of both. Okay, so just choose what's best for you and it shall be well with you. I hope this content has been useful, and till we meet again, take care of yourselves, keep safe, and it's bye for now.